All right, folks, we got a story for you tonight, and this is a murder mystery that took years to solve, and it's not going to be an easy case at trial, okay? We're talking about the death of a beauty queen down in South Georgia. Her name is Tara Grinstead, disappeared in 2005, and it wasn't until 2017 that someone was arrested. Chanley Painter has the story.
High school teacher Tara Faye Grinstead vanished from her Georgia home in October of 2005.
The scene in Tara's house was ambiguous to us. We did not know if a struggle had occurred there or not.
The popular educator, also a former beauty pageant contestant, lived alone in the town of Ocilla, about 200 miles south of Atlanta. Her disappearance alarmed friends and baffled investigators.
We needed more information because we had a situation in which many people had been in the residence that day, and also several persons had been in the residence before law enforcement arrived.
The search for clues into Tara Grinstead's whereabouts would last for more than a decade. A billboard with her photo and tip line number loomed for years in the area, along with hopes she would be found. Hundreds of people were interviewed, but leads dried up and the case went cold.
You're convinced you will find her?
I am convinced we will, one way or the other.
Then in February 2017, more than 10 years after the 30-year-old disappeared, police arrested Ryan Duke and charged him with burglary, aggravated assault, murder, and concealment of a body. Not long after Ryan's arrest, police brought charges against his friend, Bo Dukes. The two were former students at the high school where Grinstead taught. They were part of the graduating class of 2002. Their names were similar but spelled differently. It was more than their names that bonded them together. Ryan and Bo shared a secret, and Bo kept that secret for years until he told it to Ryan's brother at a party.
He said that he knew who had killed Tara Grinstead, and I said, who? And he said, your brother.
That is Stephen Duke, Ryan's brother, testifying at the trial of Bo Dukes in 2019.
And I asked him, kind of shocked, what do you mean? And he said, your brother killed her. I said, are you serious? He said, no, I'm just playing. Don't tell anybody.
But Bo wasn't joking when he confessed to investigators that Ryan allegedly told him he broke into Grinstead's home to rob her for drug money, but ended up strangling her. Grinstead's body has never been recovered, but Bo's confession helped crack the case. Bo said he helped Ryan move Grinstead's body from a large pecan orchard where Duke had dumped the body to a nearby pine grove. Bo then assisted Ryan in burning the body. Bo was convicted for his role in the crime. The jury found him guilty of concealing Grinstead's death and lying to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. He was sentenced to serve 25 years in prison. It's not clear if he will turn state's evidence against his friend Ryan when he's tried for Grinstead's murder. Ryan has pled not guilty and maintains his innocence.
All right, joining us tonight from Marietta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Phil Holloway, and more importantly, a former police officer in that town, Ocilla, Georgia. Phil, great to see you. Let's begin with Ocilla, Georgia. For folks who haven't been there, how would you describe it?
Well, good evening, Vinnie. This is one of the most out-of-the-way little towns in rural South Georgia. It's really hard to describe. Now, you're right. I was a part-time police officer there many, many years ago in another lifetime, and it was much smaller then. But that was closer to the time when Tara Grinstead disappeared. It's not really on a major thoroughfare. There's no major interstate highway going through it. And it's just kind of a sleepy place. It's a very rural area. It's an agricultural community. Agriculture is one of the big pieces of the economy down there. So there's not a lot going on. And it's one of those places, Vinny, where everybody knows everybody. And more importantly, most of the time, they know everyone else's business too.
And are you surprised when, in a small town like that a murder like this could take place and it takes so long to solve? As a matter of fact, I think it took a podcast to kind of reinvigorate everything and get this investigation moving again.
Yes, that's right. Payne Lindsay with the Up and Vanish podcast, of which I was a contributor, that back in 2016, 2017, sort of helped to bring this case back to the fore of common discussion, but it wasn't dead. I mean, other news media was tracking this case. They would do yearly updates on it, trying to do anything, because with many cold cases, as I'm sure you know, it's getting people talking, because at some point, somebody who knows something oftentimes will come forward. And, depending on how you look at it, that may be what happened in this case. Of course, the prosecutor saying that one of the participants came forward. Now, that being said, this participant might not exactly be the prosecutor's best witness, because he himself is currently serving a 25-year sentence for lying. So, as I said in the podcast, not only is he a convicted liar, he's a felonious liar. So not exactly the kind of person a prosecutor might want as their star witness.
And you're talking about Bo Dukes, right? You've got Ryan Duke,
yes.
the defendant. Bo Dukes has already been convicted associated with this case and other problems that he has. So I've got to think at trial, it's going to be the prosecution trying Ryan Duke and the defense trying Bo Dukes.
I think that's fair if this case ever comes to trial anytime soon, because there's a piece of it now that's on appeal with the Georgia Supreme Court having to do with whether or not Ryan Duke has waived his right to state money because he's indigent for investigators, because this is a big, this is a big case file. There's a lot for the lawyers to go through. They need investigators. They also need expert witnesses. He had a court-appointed lawyer, the public defender. He opted out of that so that he could take advantage of the services of pro bono or free counsel. And so now the court is in a quandary about whether or not the court can order the state to provide these resources. Everybody agrees that he's indigent. You mentioned Bo Dukes. Now, Bo Dukes also is facing indictment in even a third Georgia county for an alleged sexual assault that occurred on New Year's Day a few years back. That's still untried. And he's also facing charges directly related to allegedly concealing the death and basically helping allegedly Ryan Duke dispose of the body in Ben Hill County, Georgia. So to say that this is complicated and convoluted is a little bit of an understatement.
And give us an idea, like when this trial happens, is this going to be, and I'm not trying to poke fun at anyone, I'm just trying to give people some point of reference. Is this going to be like a small town trial where you've got one courthouse and you've got, maybe one or two judges? Is it that small of an area?
Right. Georgia's divided into judicial circuits, and that's the Tifton Judicial Circuit, which is where I grew up, where I first started practicing law in Georgia. And so you're right, there's just a couple of Superior Court judges. And, in that county, Irwin County, everybody knows about this case. In fact, they probably knew somebody who was involved directly with the searches, the field to field, house to house, shoulder to shoulder, people going around searching like we see in this video here. But, so finding 12 people in that community that don't have some preconceived notions about this case is going to be a huge challenge in and of itself. Ironically, there's a lot of people who believe that the state has it backwards, Vinnie. They believe that both of these individuals were involved in the murder, but they believe that there may be a false confession here, and that it might be this now convicted liar, Bo Dukes, as being the perpetrator of the murder. So it's going to be interesting if this case ever makes it to trial.
Yeah, I mean, it took long enough to arrest someone, and now it's taken almost as long to get to trial. Phil Holloway, great to see you. Awesome insight. Thanks so much.
Anytime, Vinny. You take care.